2009 Nissan. It's a Rogue. It's a 2.4, 2.5 something. It's a 4-cylinder. It's big. Money lights on, wants it inspected. The good news is they've cleared the codes for us, so that's always helpful, right? So we've got 3 monitors that are not complete, but we also have 5 trouble codes in it. So that's always helpful when the customer erases the codes before they bring it in. Let's see what we have for codes here. We're just looking at generic data. So we can always check stuff like this because we have to make our customer aware now. Well, you've got, 5 codes, but the drive cycle's not finished. So we have O2 sensor 1, bank 1, just circuit, P0130, an 031, 037, 043, and 1148. So 1148, closed loop, bank 1, so must be it's not going in closed loop, but we've got O2 heater control circuit low for sensor 1, sensor 2, and sensor 3. Well, if I was a gambling man, I'd bet it probably has all brand new aftermarket Amazon O2 sensors in it, so let's have a quick look there. It's getting to be a common theme around here. Oh, look at that. That O2 sensor is old and rusty, so that's good. Oh, this looks OG. Oh, wow. This is the first. All they've been doing is clearing codes and driving it, must be, so that's good. Of course, we can't see the third O2 sensor. It must be down underneath somewhere. However, when I see something like this, circuit low, circuit low, circuit low, I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, but it would be my guess that all 3 of those O2 heaters run off from the same power source, and that power source is probably missing. Whether it be a blown fuse or a wire rubbed through on the dipstick blowing the fuse. Is that? Anything there? Oops, just pop that connector off, idiot. Just wanted to see. No, that's just all brown and rusty. Click that back on. Just figure we'd give her a quick little visual here just to see if there's anything obvious. But yeah, you can see how that wire lays up against that dipstick, so I thought maybe that was rubbed through, but that's what I'm suspecting. So, well, that's as much visual as we're gonna go. Let's find the fuse box. Oh, she hides down there. I think Nissan calls them an IPDM, integrated power module. Let's find a wire diagram first and foremost, and then see what powers those, see if they are missing power, which I assume, based on the codes, and then figure out why. So here's what I found. Fuse 63, 15 amp. Follow that little guy down. Okay. Here's all 3 oxygen sensors. Must be California because it has oxygen sensor number 3. And all I did is look at the wire that's common with all of them, which is this brown wire. So we highlight that, and then we come back up. That comes directly from a fuse. Fuse 63 in the IPDM, Intelligent Power Distribution Module, in the engine room left side. Fuse 63 must be down here. So let me get this little guy out of the way. We'll pull out these little clips here, and we'll dig that out. I believe you gotta take them out, flip them over, and we'll find that fuse, see if that fuse is blown, and then we'll go from there. Oh, that one broke.
You need that?
Nope. They don't belong in there anyway. So these are not, the factory push nails. We'll put a different one in there. Not a big deal. What's up? Oh, there's one more, folks. This is more like the factory style would be, possibly. It doesn't really matter. Just 90% of the time they're missing anyways.
Truck over there Josh is working on.
Yep.
It looks like.
Okay. Get Mrs. O out there for a minute. Alright, let's see. Fuse number 63. Of course, they're not labeled by numbers, but it says here O2 sensor 115 amp. Third one up. And what do you know? It's open. Let's get a pair of pliers. Pull that out. Okay, it's a regular. She's blown wide open. So that's good. We'll live dangerously. We've got our fuse buddy here. She's got a 20 ampere in it. We're just very momentarily going to stick that in there. If it'll fit. Come on, little fella. Negative, Ghost Rider. We need to get an extension, so the way this is designed, it won't fit down in the box. Let me get something different. Okay, that one goes down in there. So now, we can momentarily stick this in here. There's no current being drawn currently because the O2 heaters are not on. I'm going to pull the fuse out. We could probably use bi-directional controls, but let's just go ahead and start the car. Looks like we have control because the light's blinking, so it's going to ground. And we have an average of 0.14 amps. That does not seem correct at all. O2 heaters, I mean, if all three of them were on, we should have at least 3 to 4 amps, probably closer to 3 amps, but we're only pulling 1/10 of an amp. That doesn't seem right. Flip this around so it's not reading negative here, but yeah, it's only showing 1/10 of 1 amp. That's kind of bizarre. Let me shut it off for a second, folks. So we're going to do this a little different, folks. Not a big fan of running a fuse that's, you know, well, not way overrated, but at least overrated for the circuit design. So I put a 15 amp here just in this loop. Now I think we're not seeing the full current draw because we've seen this LED, you know, flashing, you know, indicating the fuse is open, but we saw it flashing, and that indicates to me that these are, you know, clearly duty cycle controlled heater circuits. So we're probably not seeing the full spectrum here, but let's just do this. Let's throw our current clamp around our loop here, because that's how this is designed. And see what we see. And then let it sit here and warm up. Perhaps one of these O2 sensors is shorting when it gets hot. Let me get this set up here for us. And I'll kick this back on and we'll join together here and see what we see. Set her on a 10 amp scale. Move our graph down here. And then we're going to put some more or less time on the screen. We'll go say 100 milliseconds. Yeah, so they are duty cycle controlled, as you can see those peak amperages. You know, little waveform being brought up there. Okay, does that make sense to you? If we stick our test light on here, well, now if we stick our test light on, we're not going to see much other than a steady light. Yeah, so we got a steady light, a little bump in the current. So, yeah, the control side, the ground side that switches those oops. So there, it must have, so now it's changing duty cycles as it goes on here. So you can see, let's put some more time on our screen here. You see how it's keeping them O2 heaters on a little bit longer now. But the interesting thing to see is our peak amperage is only around 2 amps. So that's good. And it's going to change, it's going to dictate how long it keeps you know, that heater circuit on for. Okay, we got something else changing here now. Probably should be using the Pico for this. So it must be turning different O2 sensors on and off. So that's what we're seeing here in the waveform. This is one O2 sensor, that current that's riding on top of it. That's another O2 sensor turning on, you know, the control side of it. So I'm just gonna kind of monitor this and let's see what's happening as it's, you know, warming up here. Maybe one of them shorted out. So, something has blown the fuse, you know, one of the O2 sensors is my assumption. But we can see one O2 sensor is drawing at least 2 amps. Another one's drawing another 2 amps on top of that. And that's kind of what we would expect to see. So depending on the resistance value of each heater circuit, which most O2 heaters are around, you know, 12 ohms, so therefore they draw around 1 amp. You get 12 to 14 ohms, something like that. But I'm gonna let it sit here and run. I'm gonna pop into some OEM data while we sit here and watch this and see if we can see the individual O2 sensors. Some manufacturers allow us to see the current draw right in scan data. So as that's warming up, I'll look for that. I'm gonna put a little more time across the screen here so you can kind of get big picture and see what happens. It's been a few minutes. Everything still looks pretty normal here. Okay, I guess as normal as it could. What I see here in scan data is kind of interesting. Let me over here, I can see what you see. So we look in scan data, AFR sensor 1 heater circuit running a duty cycle of 35–36%. Heat oxygen sensor 3, there's the O2 sensor. Heat oxygen sensor 3 bank 1, the heater is turned off. So that's perhaps one that we're not seeing there yet. Sensor number 2 is on, sensor number 1 is on, but sensor number 3 is off. Okay, so that's interesting. I don't know what the strategy is to turn number 3 on, other than talk dirty to it, but I don't even know if it likes that. So let's look in bidirectional controls here. I don't see anything there. Let's go to special functions. I don't see anything there. God dang. It would be nice if we could just turn that O2 heater on. Well, that kind of sucks. I don't know what its strategy is to turn it on. I'm going to go back to live data. I'm going to give it a couple rev up tune-ups. I'm going to look at that O2 heater number 3, see if it turns on, and when it does, if all of a sudden, you know, do we develop a problem then? So let me fiddle with that. Let me look for heater. There's sensor 3, and then that there. So shows the sensor, shows it being off. Now we have not even confirmed that this has 3 sensors, but it's setting a code for it, so we can only assume that it does. But let's rev it up a little bit or something. I have no idea if that's what it takes. But that O2 sensor itself is not even functioning. It's just stuck. Well, there it wiggled a little bit. So that's alright. It's like that O2 sensor's not even working. I put a bunch of time on the screen just in case it quit, but you can see its strategy as far as turning O2's, you know, heaters on and off. Like right now, it's only got 1 turned on. So pretty interesting. We don't see it turning on the number 3. And from the looks of it, we clearly don't have a short with the 2 that are functioning. Right? Everything looks pretty good there. I tell you what, you know, I could hear some exhaust parts rattling when I pulled it in, like some heat shields and stuff. Let's get it up in the air and do a visual inspection on the number 3 O2 sensor. Maybe there's a heat shield that fell down that's rattling against it, and when it hits whatever its strategy is to turn that one on, maybe it shorts out. So let's get it up in the air and just have a look anyways. she's brand new. There's the new one. I knew we were going to find a new one. Okay. So that's probably our eBay special. And you know what I'm wondering? See how that pipe's been replaced? Well, no, it says made in Japan on it. All twisted up there. I'm wondering if the pipe rotted out. The wire fell down because she's all zip tied. Melted against the pipe, blew the fuse. And here we are today. Somebody fixed this, but perhaps never fixed, you know, the fuse. That's my only thought. So let's see if this one's shorted. We can easily check to see if this heater circuit is any good. And then if it is, then we can just, you know, we go for a rip and see if this thing turns on instead of trying to learn its strategy. That's what I would do if it was me. Oops, sorry buddy. I mean to kick ya. Okay, that's off. So now we need to check the heater circuit. So it's going to be the one with the same color wires, right? Right? We got a meter that reads ohmage. Leave that over there. It's so bright. And we're expecting to see something low. Less than 20, probably more than 10. So let's see what we have. I'm going on that wire, the white wire. Guy can't see the white wire and the white wire. Resistance is 5.4 ohms. It is duty cycle controlled, so that would be okay. We should have power down here. 5.4 ohms. Let's look up a spec just to be sure. That is pretty low. Let's see if we can find the spec in service data. Service data shines through for us. Looking at, let's see, check resistance between heater terminals following charts 2 and 3, which I'm going to assume are the heater ones because the other ones should be open. 3.4 to 4.4 ohms at 77 degrees. So us having 5 or whatever it was is okay. But then the best part is here, you know, how do we turn this thing on? I saw where we're at operation. Okay, so above 3,600 RPMs, it's off. Below 3,600 RPMs after fine conditions are met, engine warm up, drive for 3 minutes at 50 mphs or more, keeping as steady as possible during cruising, then the heater's turned on. So we actually have to go drive it. So I'm good with this. I'm going to double check to make sure that, you know, our terminals 2 and 3 are indeed the heater circuits, which, like I say, they should be. It's usually, I don't know a case any different, but it's typically always the ones with the same color wire. Whether it's 2 grays or 2 blacks or 2 whites or 2 blues or 2 purples, whatever, those are usually your heater circuits. I'm going to verify pin 2 and pin 3, make sure that's right, and then looking at our clues, I'm thinking somebody just didn't complete the job when they did this repair. Gotta make sure it's safe enough to go on the rip. Yeah, it's safe enough, let's go. I've cleared the codes. I've got our O2 sensor up here, or, you know, on that fuse still. Looks like there's only one on right now. And that's true, so there's only the front O2 sensors turned on right now. At 37% duty cycle. Bank 2 is off, bank 3 is off. So we're gonna go drive it and try to meet the criteria that was in service data and just see what happens. See what our current draw looks like once we get that rear O2 sensor turned on. It seems to be the only way to turn it on without, you know, turning it on ourselves. Manually jumping the wires, stuff like that. So let's go for a little rip. Sounds like we gotta drive for at least 3 minutes steady, so I'll go do that and we'll see what happens. I find it very interesting that it doesn't turn that heater circuit on until after the car's been driven and warmed up and stuff. So that's, I don't know what its strategy is or why. I guess guess I know what the strategy is. I just don't know why. Okay, so our second O2 sensor just turned on. I know you guys probably can't see it. That's pretty interesting. So we're cruising steady, and I see the rear, or that number 3 O2 sensor, so that's the second graph down, is starting to work. The O2 sensor is starting to come alive. Heater is still not turned on, but we haven't met the criteria yet, but it appears that that O2 sensor is working, signal-wise anyway, so let's see what happens here. Crap, you guys can't see it. Let me pull over. I just saw a change in this. Oh, yep. So our O2 heater is on. All right, well, let's pull over. We're still below 2 amps of current. I'm gonna swing in here. Gonna turn around. All right, so number 3 is on, number 2 is on. Get this down where you guys can see it, hopefully. And look at that. So we're below 2 amps. It's not shorted. And all of the O2 heaters are on. Our front's running at 26%. Our rear is on. Number 2 is on, and number 3 is on. And then we can see here, hopefully you guys can see something other than me just holding the camera, that our value is around 2 amps. That's fantastic. So perfect. We fixed it. Well, we didn't fix it. I guess we kind of fixed it. We put the fuse in it. We finished fixing it. How's that sound? I'm gonna head back to the shop. Back at the shop, everything looks good there. I looked at it here. So just on that little short test drive, look at that. We've got all the monitors to run except for one. So that's good. It's probably evap that hasn't run yet. We literally went like 5 miles, not even. Went up to where we usually turn around and came back. So let's look at readiness monitors. We're probably going to see that the evap is not ready yet. And that's true. So evap is not ready. O2 heater, EGR, catalysts, comprehensive misfire, fuel systems are all done. So that's good. There should be no pending codes unless it's a pending code for an evap problem. And we have no codes. So what was the fix on this one? Well, I can tell you. Let's unplug our plugger. It's down here. Yeah, we don't want to forget that. The fix on this one, folks, was a blown fuse. The fix for this one, folks, was simply replacing the fuse. We could have replaced the fuse, give it back to the customer and said, you know, sayonara, let me know if it blows again. But we have definitive data now that we actually fixed it for real, because we can see the current draw on that circuit with everything that's on that circuit being turned on, which was all 302 sensors. So thankful for service data that explained to us how to get number 3 to turn on, which was drive it for 3 minutes over 50 after a warm-up cycle. And it was exactly that. After about 3 minutes of driving, all of a sudden I seen the current change on the scan tool. I looked down and boom, it's turned on. And then we were able to pull over and you could see that we're well within the limits of that circuit design. You know, we're at 2 amps roughly. And we can only assume that at some point there was a repair down there, because the O2 sensor's new, we saw that, the pipe is new, and then the zip tie. That's pretty new. So chances are the wire was down there melted, and well, you know the rest of the story. Tell me the rest of your story down in that comment section. Questions, comments concern the Insta, the Facebook, not the TikTok. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.